to a very real prior existence.
Well, it's one thing to connect with a well-known historical figure, but it's even more remarkable to unite with a character who may only exist in myth. But in fact, Laurel Phelan may be exactly who she says she is, King Arthur's wife, Guinevere.
Repressed memories of alien abduction, travels through time to glimpse the future, the exploration of past lives. All of these phenomena have been charted through hypnosis, sometimes by hypnotherapists, but often by people who hypnotize themselves.
And we can all do this. All hypnosis is self-hypnosis. We're just guided if there's somebody there with us to guide us, but nobody can hypnotize you. You agree to allow yourself to move into a trance.
For Laurel Phelan, self-hypnosis was a tool that helped her break through an imposing psychological barrier.
I realized there was something greatly missing in my life, and I tried very hard to have relationships, but it just did not work.
To solve her problems, Laurel turned to a form of self-hypnosis called past life regression.
Past life regression is really a method. It's a way of contacting the information that's in the subconscious mind. We go back in time and we find out what happened in your deepest past.
Laurel's regressions were startling. She believes they opened up memories of a life she lived more than 1,000 years ago.
I was feeling myself standing in an old fort with a knife in my hand, a blade about 1 foot long, waiting for someone, smelling smoke, hearing screams. A man, footsteps came down the hallway, and I jumped out at him. And I stabbed him in the back of the heart. Then a woman came running down the hall, calling out my name, Guinevere, which is the Celtic name of Guinevere.
She was Guinevere, Queen of Camelot, wife of King Arthur, and Laurel's past life memories stand in vivid contrast to the hazy legends that portray Guinevere as a demure and feminine queen.
She was not frilly. She was by no means weak. She was taught from early childhood to be skilled at battle strategy.
Ironically, Laurel's unusual perceptions may actually validate her experience. Her past life visions of the legendary queen is consistent with the latest theories put forth by many historians.
From what I have heard of Laurel's experience, it certainly is consonant with the time era and with all the research that's been done over the last 20 or 30 years. I think that she is clearly more in touch with the reality of the Arthur and Guinevere story. So this concept that Guinevere could protect herself, would take a life if she had to, I think has been pretty much coming to the fore in the last 20 years or more.
Through her regressions, Laurel believes she got a first-hand look at the people surrounding Guinevere, including her husband, the renowned King Arthur.
He was very good looking. He had dark, almost black curly hair, blue eyes, big body, and he was really very playful, and he had a really little wicked streak in him. You know, he liked to play. Arthur was an amazing man who had an obsession with Guinevere's stomach. He loved to kiss her belly. She was terrified of him sexually because he awakened her sexuality, and when her sexuality was awakened, she was out of control. And she was a control freak. She had to be in control of her body.
Laurel's accounts were so richly detailed, we were skeptical. We asked her to undergo one of her past life regressions for our cameras.
You're beginning to relax now?
Mm-hmm.
As you start your self-regression?
Right.
Okay, I noticed that you're breathing deeply.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
First, Laurel seemed to tune out distractions in the room. Then she closed her eyes and sank into a deep hypnotic state. Finally, it appeared that she was fully regressed. As our cameras rolled, Laurel may have taken us 1,500 years into the past, to the inner sanctum of Guinevere and her king.
I'm in my room. I'm in the fort, and I'm really nervous. I'm really uptight. It's my wedding night. He comes in the room, and he has 2 cups, and he pours some in for me, and he gives it to me. He's so tall. I try to straighten myself so I seem taller, too. And I take a sip, and my hand seems to shake a little, and
the drop falls on my lip and down my chin, and he takes his finger and he catches it. And he lingers with his finger on my chin as he stares at me. It makes me feel strange. And he takes the cup from me and he puts it on the table. He opens my robe. And I take a deep breath, and what is he doing? He's bending down. He's kissing my stomach. It's as though he's sucking on my stomach. What is he doing? I have not heard of this. This is not the sexual act. Then he quickly sweeps me up in his arms and puts me on the bed. He positions himself on top of me, and I tighten myself, but there's a welling inside me, heat, and I feel almost a dizziness, and then it's complete. I don't understand this. I feel a great part of me wants to weep, but no, I have to stay in control.
Although the regression lasted nearly an hour, Laurel says it felt like mere seconds.
How are you feeling?
Bright lights.
Bright lights. Who are you?
Laurel.
You're Laurel.
For Laurel, these past life experiences have raised more questions than answers. Why was this past life coming back to haunt her now? What relevance could it have to her present life?
Well, it generally means that the material is coming up from that lifetime and making itself known to you because it's time for you to do something about it, a time for you to release whatever it is from your current lifetime that's a carryover from the past.
In order to find happiness, Laurel was convinced she had to come to terms with a mistake Guinevere had made 1,500 years ago.
She never loved really anyone but Arthur, but she didn't know it until he died because she wouldn't acknowledge love. What I had been carrying forward from Guinevere was that I had never, or she had never said, I love you to Arthur. The whole purpose of Guinevere coming back and almost haunting me since I was 21, coming through the nightmares and all of that, was to get me to that point of healing, understanding, coming full circle, forgiving myself, and being able to love someone.
Just 2 months after coming to terms with her past, Laurel met her husband-to-be.
I looked across a crowded room, exactly, sounds corny, and I looked at this man and I said, that man looks exactly like Arthur. That's what he looks like. We sat there and talked for about 5 hours, agreed to meet the next night, and the next night, our second date, he said to me, I feel as though I've known you for thousands of years and that we're already married. And I said, yeah, I feel the same way. And he said, well, why don't we just do it again? I said, yeah, why don't we?
Had the past finally been put to rest? Had love survived the ages? No matter what the truth, Laurel believes that today it's she who's living out the fairy tale.